Hello, everyone, and welcome to PlayVS. Today, we have the Arkansas State Final between Bryant High School and Van Buren High School here with a massive Rocket League showdown. I'm Perino. I am joined by my co-host, Declan Murphy. How you doing?
I'm brilliant, mate. I'm looking forward to this. We've got a double header today, but starting off with Arkansas with Rocket League. I'm really excited to break down some of the action that we're going to see with these two teams that we got going in. So we've got Van Buren High School going up against Bryant High School. Both teams have shown very strong form coming into this, so it's going to be really interesting now to see how they develop over this coming best of seven and see who can walk away with the title.
Yes, so much esports action to bring to you guys today. As Murphy mentioned, we have Arkansas up here first. Will be followed by, I believe, Texas later in the afternoon. So all sorts of things going down. But very first, on the slate for today, we do have this great matchup between Van Buren and Bryant. And I have to say, we were looking over the statistics, before coming on to the show. And the impressive thing about these teams is both are not only undefeated coming into it, but both have not lost a game coming into this final. I'll give you guys a spoiler alert. Someone's going to have to lose a game here in this best of seven. So this is going to be a true clash of titans. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, so previously when we've done some of these state finals, we've seen teams that have gone undefeated both in series and games, but I don't think we've seen both sides holding the same record. So this is going to be a really interesting matchup to see where this leads. I know you were pointing out one of the players on the Bryant side as well that you wanted to keep an eye on.
Yes, this is a Bryant squad that has been here before on the on the final stage here for PlayVS. Miles is a player who, we've seen take down this title once, I believe, already, possibly twice. I'd have to double check that, but this Bryant squad have very, very talented roster. I'm looking for Miles in particular. I'll give him the spotlight because I've seen him around, in Rocket League as well, just playing, on my own, seen him around. I know he's a talented player. I know what he can do. So I'm excited to see how he, brings out his A game for this grand final today.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as we look at the bracket as well, we can see how both teams have managed to get their positions here in the finals today, both overcoming some difficult opposition, Van Buren getting the bye in the first round, whereas we saw Bryant taking out both Bang and Sacred Heart in their side of the bracket. Van Buren taking out Farmington to actually earn their place here today. But as you were saying, the regular season, I don't think it was really that much of a doubt that we'd be seeing both these teams.
No, those perfect records, of course, earned both of these teams opposite sides of the bracket. They came straight from the top end of both of their brackets and all the way through to this grand final here. And yeah, this is everything you can want now. The problem is, okay, it's been, I don't want to say easy, right? Because that's not the correct word. But you haven't had a team put a stop to you yet. Obviously, now you're approaching a point where, okay, clearly the other team is also very good. So I wonder how these teams adjust, because you have to imagine that, provided we don't see a sweep, both teams are probably going to trade wins and losses here, especially early. How do you deal with that, right? How do you work around, going against greater opposition, right? Because this is a brutal final matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. We have two teams that are very attack-orientated as well. I was looking at the stats going into this, and we don't really see that impressive a defensive record from either team. That's probably because neither team's needed to have a defensive record, but we could be into some very high goal score lines going into this series.
As well, we will jump right into it here. We wait no longer as Bryant in the blue will take on Van Buren in the orange. And away we go.
We're going to see Dewey now. Definitely one of the players to be watching on this Van Buren side, as he's going to get the ball set into the middle. However, Alpha's going to be able to interrupt him and keep the pressure up for his side in the early part of this game.
It is Bryant seemingly on the front foot, but this is a very quick game, and already a long pooping shot from downfield, just off the crossbar. The follow-up's wide off the post, and another one sneaks under. Huge duck. JoJo finds the opener of the series. Third time lucky here for Van Buren.
Yeah, absolutely. As we just saw there, the defense was sort of exhausted. There was already two opportunities that came in before that took some of the Bryant players out of position, and unfortunately weren't able to react in time for that third follow-up shot.
We were just saying, before the start of that sequence how, Bryant got off on the front foot. It does change quickly here on the Rocket League pitch.
Ooh.
That one turned aside, and already Bryant looking to go at it again.
See Perry now missing the shot, but Alpha's also going to be taken out of the play here. Luckily, the third man's going to be back there. Although setting it across the goal, Von Buren have another chance. Not going to be able to lead to anything just yet, but this is brilliant pressure coming out. Not satisfied with the 1-0 victory, looking to get a second one on the map, which is definitely the smart play here.
Ooh, and that's a good save there from Dewey as well. Had to get way up into that top corner to try and turn that aside. And this has already been a game of very quick transitions. We've seen these teams pretty much go back and forth around the field on each other. I love the pace of play, and I love the tenacity from both teams early here, trying to get these goals and make these plays.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see Dewey take it up off the wall now, he's not able to do anything too much with it, but that is still threatening as his teammate nearly puts the shot away. Dewey's going to remain up and causing problems. His teammate isn't there to poke at home. It's very, very promising stuff from this Van Buren side, and Bryant really needs to start finding their feet in this series as we move into the second half now.
Yeah, that's a dangerous game there for Bryant to be playing, going across your goal like that. They'll be thanking their lucky stars that nobody on Van Buren was up on the goal line to try and knock that in. You see Alpha removing a player from the pitch, and yeah, this is already very exciting. I think Bryant can score, though. They have to hit on that transition. The defense has been very good from Van Buren so far.
We just saw Alpha with a demo there. Are you able to give us elaborate a little bit more on what that is?
Well, when car go fast, you can remove car from the field, as that one from Miles had to be turned aside. Already great defense coming out from Van Buren. That one clangs off the post as well.
Almost there, able to level up. A little bit more promising now as we reach the 2-minute mark. Miles in the midfield. Going to be able to assert some control here. Possibly an opportunity here. Not without the interruption from Van Buren as it comes across. Again, though, no one there to really put it away. The commitment's not strong enough from the Bryant side, I feel, in the final third.
It's been a very interesting game in the sense that Bryant, I think, have actually had the better chances, but they just haven't been able to find that last touch, and that touch will evade them as well. Dewey makes it 2-0 for Van Buren, and just like that, that's a beautiful touch actually out of the corner. Oh my goodness, look at that pass.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where it's actually kind of crucial, right? Van Buren are able to string together passes to lead to these opportunities, whereas it feels like when Bryant are going forward, they're not doing that as much, right? They're only allowing one person to go forward at a time, and they're paying for it because they're getting the opportunities, but they're not putting the finishing touch that they so desperately need.
And you do have to give Van Buren some credit, right? They've actually made some very, very nice saves to their credit, right? Which is why, Bryant haven't scored. Oh, but that could be problematic. But look at that save as well. Miles' top post is denied. Oh, and that might just be it on the transition.
Oh, not quite. Unable to get that final touch up. That was a brilliant save from the Van Buren side there. And that's some iron wall stuff. We've been talking beforehand about the defensive records of both these teams and that we haven't seen that many saves. Van Buren definitely showing this first game that they are capable of them when needed to.
Absolutely, as this one might just go in. Miles from downtown will give Bryant a fighting chance here in game one.
It's one of those awkward ones that has a really high arc to it, and catching the inside of the crossbar as well. He couldn't have placed that really any higher, still not being able to put it on target. That's going to be confidence now for Bryant, even if they don't win this series. That being said, though, 40 seconds and only a 1-goal deficit, we could definitely see another turn in this series. Or in this game, I should say.
Yes, this is an esport where things change very quickly all the time. And with 1 goal, the big difference, of course, is that you do get the opportunity to make a play at 0 seconds. In order for the game to end, the ball has to touch the ground. If Bryant can keep it in the air, they can keep the game alive. We'll see how they respond. Perry's going to take it downtown.
Yeah, closing now. Actually going to miss the save, but he's not going to be able to put the finishing touch on it. Oh, it's a game of inches. As 3 or 4 players are actually missed contact with the ball. It just skirts on by the open net. 0 seconds now, and eventually it's going to hit the ground. We're going to be seeing Van Buren taking this first game in our best of 7.
And that was razor thin for Van Buren. I have to say they played absolutely out of their mind, particularly on defense. Some of the saves that they were making were absolutely incredible. The one shot from Miles that got turned aside out of that top corner. I was so ready to already like call the goal going in, and all of a sudden you just see that ball just go boop right out of the top corner. And while that's frustrating for Bryant, because I think they played well, but Van Buren came up with the right saves at the right time.
I'm going to make a little bit of a prediction here. I feel like going into these next few games, we're going to be seeing a lot higher scorelines, which, to be fair, isn't really too much of a prediction. That is normally how the first game works, right? We normally see this more conservative play style from both teams. As we get further into the series, as they get to know each other a bit more, we start seeing more goals. So there's still plenty of time now for Bryant to put some more down, as well as Van Buren also being able to solidify their position. It's going to really be becoming more crucial in these next 2 games now, what the storyline's going to be saying for both these teams. We see Alpha come out early with the attack from the Bryant side. It's not going to lead to anything.
For Bryant, I think the answer has to be, I think you have to look for additional follow-ups when these Van Buren teammates here make these saves. You have to try and punish them, I think, when they're caught out in different spots. They're putting good shots on, but the follow-up isn't quite there. I think if they get some of those follow-up touches, they can score some more goals.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to come down to being able to commit another man forward, which they didn't really do too much in the first game. If they're able to do that, we can see their true potential going forward unlocked. Like, we know it's there. We've seen some of the stats beforehand from these teams. And what a shot that is coming out from Dewey. He managed to just get the backboard touch. It's just a lovely little flick up there for himself, and he's there in the air, puts it down below Alpha. He's not able to react, and his teammate isn't there either. Brilliant touch that. And Buren up now 1-0, very deservedly so.
Oh, that is a phenomenal goal from Dewey there. The thing you love about that play, right, that double touch, is not only do you get it, but at such speed as well, right? So quick to commit to that double touch. His first touch was absolutely phenomenal, set it up perfectly, and that's just what you love to see as Huge Duck Jojo makes it 2 now for Van Buren.
Now this isn't what we want to see from the Bryant side. Maybe it's Van Buren who've been able to assess their opponents a lot better in that first game. Bryant now actually looking even worse than they did in the first game. There's still 4 minutes on the clock and it's only 2-0. Plenty of time for things to change, but early in this second game, it's not been great coming out from the Bryant side, though it has been down to a little bit of a masterclass on the Van Buren side too.
Yes, I absolutely think Van Buren have found a different gear, coming into this second game. They did get that victory in game 1, and that gives you such a huge confidence boost as well, right? Going into it saying, okay, all right, we can take these kids, we have a shot at this. You're playing with less fear, all the courage in the world.
Ooh, almost there, as we see a lot of power going into that touch. Alpha's able to bring it back forward for his team, and now here we might be able to see something come out from the Bryant side as he gets it across, but the second man isn't there again. There's no one there helping him in close proximity. Both his teammates sitting in the midfield. As Miles now puts it across. It's over Noble. Perry isn't there, able to maintain the pressure now as the ball's going to swing back for Van Buren.
And actually, one of the key things I want to highlight about this Van Buren team that I think they're doing really well is actually their backboard defense. I've noticed it a couple times already now, both in Game 1 and Game 2. They've been able to make very effective clearances off the backboard, and if you're Bryant, that might not be something you're used to playing against. If you're going against teams that aren't quite as high caliber as this Van Buren squad, they might not make those touches on the backboard. That one, of course, turned aside as well, but, when you don't get that free real estate up there, it can be much more difficult to try and score.
Absolutely, as we see Bryant now a little bit more promising in the final third, and they're able to chain together this continued attack. It's looking a bit more promising. Just able to get the clearance out there with the double commit, but they won't care as long as the ball isn't in the back of the net. Perry puts it up on the backboard, but there you go, you were saying about the backboard defense. He actually misses and gets the shot away.
But even just the threat of having the player up there forces the hesitation, right? As you can see, that one's just going to go through for huge duck. JoJo Van Buren taking it from one end of the field to the other.
Harry manages to get the charge, but Dewey reads it. Just keeps that pressure up enough so that Duck's able to just tap it home. It's not the best of the 3 goals, but, you know, it's not the worst either. They'll take it. 3-0 now with 1 minute 47 on the clock. It's not out of reach for Bryant just yet, but can't help but feels it's going to have to be a minor miracle for it to change, as we see Dewey take over 2 defenders. Third is there, though. What a lovely little bit of play that was, as he goes up again. Miles able to take the touch. Perry puts it off target. And the pressure's still there. If he can get something across the net to his teammates, he can, but it's just too high.
So dangerous this Bryant squad have looked in spots, but they're just missing that little extra bit. They've been shut out here in game 2.
Yep, as we see Dewey, it's not the best touch to be making, as Alpha is going to capitalize on it. Miles not able to do enough either. Oh, and that was an opportunity gifted on a silver platter that they just weren't able to take. What do you do if you can't score those? It really isn't promising stuff as we come into the dying embers of the second game.
Van Buren are boxed all the way in, practically in front of their own goal line. You can see all 3 players, they're pretty much in, and well, that's not the touch Miles was looking for. Either all the way on the counter-attack is Dewey. And yeah, that's a really tough break for Bryant there, I think. They did have a great chance at scoring, but it just feels like that little bit is off, you know? Just like that, that little extra inch they're not getting, not putting them over the line.
Yeah. Certainly not getting those little touches that they need here and there. Slightly off in the rotations maybe as well, but that's a lovely shot. But once again, Dewey, this Van Buren defense has been an iron wall so far, as we see the ball ricochet to the backboard, but there's not going to be a Van Buren player there to capitalize.
Well, this one just about wraps itself up. Bryant cannot do anything about this game number 2 now. It will go to the way of Van Buren once the ball touches the floor. And I must say that was a incredibly commanding performance from Van Buren High School. They're doing a great job of not only scoring great goals, but then playing really, really good defense as well to continue to, you know, keep Bryant off the board.
Absolutely. It's been a brilliant showing from them in all 3 areas of the field. Our 2019 Spring champions, certainly showing why they are a previous champion of the PlayVS here in Arkansas. But it's going to be really interesting now, just seeing what Bryant are going to be able to do, right? Because that's 2 games now. 1 game where it was kind of a lot closer. I think it was 2-1 in the end. But then this second game now, 4-0. Bryant have definitely got to do a lot of work here, because Van Buren have found their feet, it seems like.
Yes, and I think with Van Buren as well, the one thing I'm noticing is not only just the defensive clearances that they're getting, but also the speed of rotation on offense. When Van Buren sends a player forward, they make a touch and they immediately rotate out, right? I think Bryant are perhaps hesitating a bit too much, you know, on those offensive rotations where, you know, a player might take a shot, but then they kind of lurk around, they kind of stay and see, okay, can I make something additional happen here? I really think Van Buren doing the better job of rotating everyone through the play, and that's why they're scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. We've definitely seen that from Van Buren, right? One player comes in, gets a touch, comes back, gets his boost back up, and another teammate's there to take his place. Whereas with the Bryant side, we saw they're a little bit too hesitant going forward, and when they do get forward, they're not getting back quick enough either, as we saw Dewey was able to snap one up there as well when all 3 players from the Bryant side were up in the orange third.
Yeah, this is such an interesting matchup, you know, as we've seen the 2 games already. I'm really enjoying this showcase because I think both teams are really good. But I think Bryant, they're just like a little bit off, right? I feel like all they need is like a couple of breaks to go their way. You know, they get 1 game back on the board, and this can really go the whole distance. I think the matchup is that close. But I also want to point out the technical excellence as well from this Van Buren squad. Dewey hit a great double touch for that opener goal. That was one of the more impressive ones that I've seen here on PlayVS.
Yeah, absolutely. That That was actually just such a good shot. I saw that and I was just like, wow. When you know you can have those individual plays as well as the team play, you've got a complete package there. Certainly a team that can run the distance. However, it isn't out of the question yet that Bryant can turn this around, as you're saying. It's a best of 7, so they're going to need to win another 2 games if they want to put this out of Bryant's reach. However, if Bryant are able to string together 4 wins out of our 7 games, then they can also take this title. It's not out of the question until that final whistle goes.
Absolutely not, as we're getting word that we're working on a substitution for a player here down on the field. So, you know, we'll bring you that game 3 coming up just in a moment. We're should be back and ready to go in just a minute, but yeah, the series has been really good so far. I hope that Bryant can at least like put a couple and try and go ahead. You know, they've been playing from behind for, I think, almost the entirety of the series. I think if Bryant get that go-ahead goal, they can switch it around and change their fortunes. We'll have to see how they do that here. Game 3 starting right now.
As we're seeing, Miles on the offense already hits the post. It's not quite enough for Bryant, but this is already better stuff as the goal's going to go in. This is exactly... They've made a substitution here. I'm not actually sure who they changed out just yet. But Bryant, this is the turnaround that they needed. They needed to get something down early, so that going into the rest of this game, they're in a more commanding position. Now that they have the lead for the first time in this series, we could see a completely different beast from the Bryant side.
We saw there on the scoreboard, no substitutions in this series, so no worries there. It is the same 6 players on the field.
Yeah, Van Buren definitely caught sleeping in the first 10 seconds of this game. As we see Miles go up, not quite enough boost to get up there though.
Ooh, that's a nice touch from Perry. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, just Van Buren actually being the ones who is slightly out of rotation this time, as we see Perry get a lovely... Ooh, he actually came back off the board. I didn't see the second touch there. That's a lovely bit of play if it was intentional.
Yeah.
Right now, definitely in the commanding seat.
You know, I was speaking earlier, you know, Bryant need a couple of breaks to go their way. Well, that's one of them, right? I don't think Perry was necessarily trying to, you know, get that second touch, but he was looking to follow it up, and the follow-up happened to go right into the back of the net, so you absolutely take it. But there's your break, and there's a third. Ooh. Miles jumping right on top of that one.
Yeah, it was actually the team talisman, Dewey, though, who's made not the best touch we've seen from him. So he just leaves it square up for Miles to just tap it in. It's an unfortunate one to concede. Definitely uncharacteristic of the Van Buren man.
Yeah, I think what Dewey was trying to do there was he saw the attacker, I believe it was Perry, you know, coming up and trying, you know, aggressing onto where he thought it was going to go forward. I think Dewey recognized that and made actually the touch past him. And speaking of getting the touch past him, he puts that one past everyone for a goal there.
Now, we were talking before this series started that both these teams have some brilliant strikers up front. Dewey himself's been able to average 12 goals a series. So we could be seeing some of these higher goal score lines coming out now for the remainder of this series. Hopefully we do. If there's anything we love, it's goals. So you see Dewey up on the backboard. Does enough to put Alpha off, however Perry's below. That won't be too much of a trouble though, as Duck is there. Dewey gets it there, Miles puts a touch and gets another one to send it clear back into the midfield. He actually takes over the defender. Duck is back.
It's a dangerous game to be playing for Perry there, working that ball backwards. I think you want to try and put that ball forward, try and keep the pressure high. He's putting Alpha in a tough spot by, you know, isolating him as the third man there. It works out though for Bryant as they'll get that shot attempt turned aside.
Alpha not able to do anything too much with that bit of possession. However, Miles is up. No teammate there. Alpha draws it across to Perry. Puts it over, goes up. He's not going to be able to get there in time though as it drops in front for Miles. Bounces up off the post. Oh, this is red alert now for the Van Buren side. They really need to start making some plays here. We're going to be able to see Dewey put something back. And again, Perry will be there though to make an easy save of it. Now this is much more promising coming out from Bryant. It wasn't just a sustained 1-minute attack. They've been dominating this game pretty much the entire length. So you see Miles puts it into the middle. Oh, the best touch in the world is Noble's there, and he can just send it home. Only 1 goal in it now.
And this is how quickly things can change. You can see that double commit on defense not working out for Bryant. Noble, credit to him, just puts that touch very softly, very gently in the inside of that post there. Now all of a sudden, it's Van Buren who have come roaring back into this game, and they're already establishing some pressure off this kickoff.
Yeah, this is a lot more characteristic, a lot more reminiscent of the first 2 games for Van Buren now. They are still behind though, and Bryant are still being a lot more assertive on the attack, slowing down the Van Buren game quite considerably. So we see Noble able to equalize it up, and that was just an awkward touch. There wasn't really too much Bryant could do about it. They were just caught flat-footed, unable to respond to it. Miles isn't able to make the save. It's 3-3 now. Might have been 3 minutes 20 on the clock, but it's the same difference in scoreline as we saw at the beginning of this game. Only 1 minute 40 left. I feel like whoever gets the next goal could be taking this.
It has been all Van Buren all through the second half of this game. Oh, but that one from Perry is going to be turned aside by Dewey. That's a great shot there going towards the top corner. Another one floating into the middle by Alpha. Will be turned aside, and now it's Dewey. And that's what I'm talking about there with the backboard defense from Van Buren. When you can get that kind of possession and that kind of touch over all the defenders, it is good, but no one's here for this one. Miles just takes it himself, walks that one right in. Bryant have restored their lead.
And now, both teams have been caught off in the defense here multiple times from both teams, in fact. So maybe it is starting to play where both these teams, which are very aggressive teams, aren't really doing as much as they could be doing in the back. Like we saw Van Buren with a very impressive back display or defensive display in the first 2 games, but it's not really been here in the third game. As Dewey hits it off the crossbar. Not enough.
Oh, Dewey's going to want that one back. I know a player of his caliber is going to be thinking he should be scoring that just about 100% of the time. That's a tough break for Van Buren, but it's the hope that it'll keep you alive here for Van Buren. You know that you can score. It's only 1 goal, 30 seconds. Got to figure it out here.
Dewey sets it down now to Duck into the midfield to Assassin. Assassin gets a shot away. Lovely bit of team composition there, but Miles was able to make the save. 17 seconds left. Van Buren now need to get this ball forward. A 3-man attack needed. So we see Dewey take a man out of the game. As it goes across the net, but no one's there from the Van Buren side. And it looks like, unless a 0-second wonder goal happens, yep, that we're going to be seeing Bryant taking their first game here in our best of 7. Game on.
Game on indeed. That was the game Bryant absolutely needed. I think they got a couple of bounces to just go their way, right? We had the goal from Perry off the wall, that gets that double touch, straight off the wall and into the back of the net. They had a chance, Dewey put a shot on that went off the crossbar on the goal line and then back out. They got their bounces, right? And sometimes that's just what you need. This is very much a game of inches at times, and Bryant, they stuck through it. They had a 3-goal lead. Van Buren came all the way back, and then they pick up number 4 to take the win. And okay, let's see it. Game on.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting now to see if Bryant actually make that substitution, right? Because I believe it was them who's going to make it, because we don't have any subs listed now for Van Buren. Doesn't look like they are going to, though. Going to stick to the winning recipe from that third game. As we see Dewey up already.
So tense. Ooh. That was a dangerous touch there going backwards. That was going to go in the net had there not been one last man. As huge duck. Oh, that shot's just too high from Perry. The follow-up is off the post as well. Oh no.
Oh no, indeed. What do you do about that? Especially as Duck's able to get the shot away, not quite the goal though. Bryant though going forward. 2 golden opportunities there, almost open nets. Not able to capitalize on it. It is promising stuff, but it should be 1-0 right now to the Bryant side, truth be told.
Yes, but they can't dwell on that for the moment. This game does not stop for anything or anyone, as Miles will pick up possession, and yeah, that's tough to deal with if you're Bryant, but you have to keep believing, right? Because if you can generate, you know, a couple of good shot opportunities like that, you have to believe there are more coming. That one passed in.
Oof. It's a brilliant bit of play coming out from the Bryant side there. Not able to keystone it off though. So we see Alpha caught the back. Oh, both teams now missing open nets left and right.
Oh, but Dewey!
Dewey's watching everyone else on the field missing these open nets. He's just like, well, guys, I guess if I have to, I will. And he does. What a shot that is off the backboard, off the post, and then in. Brilliant little bit of play coming out from the man as he gives his team the 1-0 goal advantage. Still 3 minutes on the clock, plenty of time for Bryant to respond, but that's exactly the sort of thing they needed. Especially after the early bit of pressure that Bryant were asserting. So we see Alpha up, but not really a huge amount of boost.
There's so many good shot attempts that went high, went wide for both teams, and you can see this one is dangerous on the line.
Oh, Perry blocks his own man's shot there. He was trying to get out of the way. Wasn't enough, unfortunately. This is good stuff though coming out from the Bryant side. Exactly what we need to be seeing from them if they want to square this game up. Dewey unable to get there. Is Dewey taken out of the game? As Noble's there, the last man in defense, able to make the save off the backboard. Once again, what you were saying in I think a couple games ago now, this backboard presence from the Van Buren side has been critical to their defensive performance.
Yes, it absolutely has been, and you know, for Bryant, I think what you're starting to see the switch to is a bit more passing. As that one turned all the way aside, they're working this ball a bit more towards the midfield, and I like the adjustment that Bryant have made. They just haven't put the shots on target, right? And that's kind of been the story. Is you get these good chances and you just can't capitalize. But Dewey, well, he's not missing anything right now. He's got both of the goals in this game so far.
Yeah, another self-assist from the Van Buren man as he puts his team 2 up with 2 minutes now. Almost a 2-minute warning in a way now for Bryant. Really need to turn this around. They don't want to be looking at a match point situation for Van Buren.
They absolutely do not, as Miles makes a good contest there, and it's awkward here for Van Buren. Alpha puts one, it's a bit high. Miles' follow-up's turned away by Dewey.
Doesn't matter what net you put him in front of, he's always making the best action for his team. Lovely little toucher actually from Noble, just completely kills the attack dead, and Alpha's forced to push himself forward to reassert the pressure. You can see Van Buren just trying to slow this game down. They know the situation at hand. It's only a 2-goal lead. You're just trying to do everything you can to knock you out the first one, and when you have possession, just don't send it right back to Bryant, right? They've had good chances. Speak of the devil. Miles there, able to get the touch there as Duck manages to put it up. Miles gets up there before anyone else can though, and just manages to get the touch over all 3 of the Van Buren players. None of them in a position to deal with it. Now Bryant now, 1 minute, and they're in touching distance of at least squaring this and bringing it to overtime. Whether they do or not is another matter though. You see Dewey now, puts into the blue third, but he's not able to do much more than that. Noble, forced to make a slight defensive play. Dangerous ball though, but Van Buren are able to get it away.
Ooh, this could be problematic.
Noble's there, able to kill the attack a little bit. Miles gets the touch and squares it up for his team. Miles once again just being able to get in the air that little bit sooner than anyone else and just capitalize on these defensive errors.
Yes, I think Noble.
Touch there.
I think Noble thought he was under a bit more pressure than he was there. He had the time to just clear that aside, but he rushed the touch, and it just centered that ball right up for Miles, and he doesn't miss those ones. That one will just go right in the back of the net. And there you have it. Level terms.
Miles now not able to do too much with it, but Alpha is there to clean up for him. As we've seen Duck put it back. Perry gets the shot off, but it's going to be saved. It's midfield now, becoming a lot more crucial in these last two games than it had been before. It was normally just a free area of the pitch for Van Buren, but Bryant have certainly been contesting it a lot heavier. Looks like we're going to be seeing our first overtime in the series! Oh! Very unfortunate there. Van Buren almost stealing it for them. If they lose this now in overtime, they're going to be kicking themselves, especially after losing the 2-0 lead. We see Perry up. Noble takes him out. Miles contests it with Duck. Across to Alpha. Alpha's not able to put the shot away, though. Sweetie Dewey up on the backboard, just getting it out for his team. Alpha's there, unable to make the touch. Miles, once again, up for his team, but not enough this time. Alpha with a shot. Two players there from Orange, though, able to clear it. Miles, he's just up and again and again and again. He's just like, well, if I keep on peppering this net, eventually one of these is going to go in. He's at the other end as well. It definitely feels like the Miles and Doom show right now.
It feels that way. Two great players coming to a head. Two great teams coming to a head here. And yeah, just it's been so back and forth. It's hard to predict really what will happen. We've seen it already. Both teams capable of making great plays. As Miles is going to go high, trying to follow it up, straight back down. No one there.
That was so unfortunate. If he manages to get that touch there, maybe at the finest angle, he's able to put something on net. As the ball's going to go all the way back, Miles is going to be able to pick it up, though. Once again, we're in this midfield. It's going to be tense now in both camps. Minute now of overtime.
And you can sort of already feel the difference, right, between overtime and regulation, where you're not seeing these overextended plays forward. Oh, but this was going to break for Alpha. Dewey had to come across. But to
that was a lot harder than it needed to be.
You know, to that point, both teams, they're not really being that aggressive. They don't want to miss an attempt going forward and then get punished on the other end. It's a bit more conservative.
You can definitely see the nerves coming out as Miles manages to get a touch, and it's another backboard goal. We've seen 3 already this series. This time, however, it's going to be going to Bryant and not Dewey on the Van Buren side. What a touch that is from Miles. Really, the changing factor for his team in this fourth game. He's going to level up the series now for Bryant. 2-2. 3 games left. We're now down to a best of 3 instead of a best of 7 in reality. Really, really great stuff coming out from both those sides. I'm really excited now to crack on with the remaining 3 games.
Yes, and that's a huge turnaround for Bryant there. They needed that game so desperately. We've talked about it. They have, these great sequences of pressure, and they just, I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if it's nerves or whatever, but they just, they hit the post, they hit the crossbar, and it's just like, oh, you feel for him in this spot. But then Miles in overtime, the talisman, recognizing the backboard defense wasn't there that time for Van Buren, just sets it up right for himself. The first touch is absolutely perfect, makes it very easy to follow up. And yeah, level series, effectively a best of 3, as you mentioned. This has been great so far, and now the question becomes, can Van Buren get back into it? I think obviously they can. They've demonstrated the ability. Oh, I love this so much. This is such a great series already.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that can really bring you down from the high of going up 2-0 early in a series is the other team drawing back now, right? So confidence is all on this Bryant side. I feel like they're definitely going to be the team now that I feel has a slight upper hand, literally just on mentality. They've been able to draw it back, not only in series. They were 2-0 down in that 4th game as well. They brought it back to 2-2. And Van Buren, with the 0-second chance, nearly able to score, but it hit the ground just in time. Goes to overtime, and we see Bryant take the game as well. So the confidence and the mentality has got to be on the Bryant side right now.
Yeah, we didn't really get
a consent around. Go on, sorry.
There's a little bit of a delay, across the Atlantic here. We're bringing in Declan from London, but no, the play that we didn't get a chance to break down was, as you mentioned, that 0-second opportunity for Van Buren, right? They had all of that pressure building up, clocks winding down. and the shot just bounces on the line. It just doesn't get up in the air there. I think it was Noble who came through and tried and put that home, and it's so close, right? You can just feel the tension now in these games, and this is a critical game 5 coming up because the winner of this game does go on match points. So whoever wins this will have 2 more opportunities to try and take home the series, and this is where great players become legend, right? Is where when it matters the absolute most, who steps up. I thought Miles stepped up in a huge way for Bryant there. Who can step up now for Van Buren to try and turn the tide?
Well, we've certainly seen Dewey, the powerhouse of this Van Buren side in the early part of this series. It's up to his teammates now to really be supporting him. We're going to see a little bit of a defensive error come out. They're not going to be punished for it too hard, though. Duck gets the demo on Perry. Perry is able to interrupt the forward play. As we see Miles off the backboard again. Noble able, not off the backboard, I should say, just high up in the air. We see Duck now unable to really capitalize on it. It's Blute's ball in the midfield. Miles once again goes up, gets the touch. It's not going to be able to lead to much, though.
I think Miles was angling for the flip reset there, just not quite able to get it, seemingly going a little bit too far forward on that ball. But huge Duck, JoJo coming up, huge in that spot. 1-0 to Van Buren.
Huge play, JoJo right there. It's the Dewey assist, just being able to teeter it over a defender there. Just leaves it open for the Duck to take the shot. Take the shot he does. Van Buren now have been up and lost the lead before. So they're going to be wanting to be a little bit more stable at the back. Dewey just able to take it past Alpha. Miles at the back though. And Alpha gets the touch, but Noble reads it. Brilliant read there.
Very nicely played by Noble, recognizing that there was an attacker forward, just getting in between the attacker and the goal line. As now Bryant try and press forward on the attack. Nothing doing there though. Dewey, gets a nice flick over Alpha. Does not manage to maintain possession. That thing will be rocketed right back into Van Buren's corner.
Yeah, Bryant not being down 1 goal, sitting. They're definitely contesting. We've come to expect from this team, especially after that remarkable comeback in the 4th game.
Problems could be imminent though for Van Buren if they're not careful here.
Well, there was problems, and then 2 players missed the ball. But we could be back with problems again as we see Miles go up off the side and into the net. He levels it up now for Bryant. 3 minutes remaining. We're back where we were at the start of this game. This really is now. It almost feels like we're back in the first game again. Both teams definitely feeling a bit more nervy here because they know whoever wins this is going to be on that match point.
A little bit nervy indeed. I tend to agree with that, and it's just an awkward spot for Van Buren when you expect that frontline attacker and Alpha to make the touch out of the corner, but he lets it go and just decides to go pressure the backline of the Van Buren defense. It just catches him a little off target, and Miles, well, he's really coming to his own here through the past game and a half or so, and just burying that one. Now
Alpha.
I like the idea of going backwards like that. It was really the only option he had.
Absolutely, just anything to just start a little bit of pressure, maybe draw a couple of those Van Buren players out of position, and what a touch that is actually.
And this is a great play overall. Look at this from Miles over across the Alpha into the corner to Perry. That is a 3-man pass play into the back of the net. That is lovely.
That is exactly what Bryant were lacking in the early part of this series, and now that they're able to string those plays together, it's exactly what they needed now. Van Buren, they were 1-0 up. We're at the halfway point now. They find themselves 2-1 down as Dewey's able to equalize it though. This really is end-to-end stuff from either team. Alpha manages to make the touch, but wasn't really well suited to deal with it, and Dewey's just there, reads what's going to happen, is there for the follow-up.
Such a volatile game off the kickoff, right? That ball, when it gets launched off the spot from the kickoff like that, can really catch players out. You saw Dewey just clanging that thing downfield when he had the opportunity, forced Alpha at an awkward spot, and just like that, tie ball game.
Yeah, as we see Duck now playing it in the midfield a little bit. It definitely feels like Van Buren are a little bit weaker at the back, though, as we see the ball go over. Dewey's just about able to get there, and he misses it, though. Perry's there, gets the touch. Both players back, though, for Van Buren. But it just feels like shooting fish in a barrel a little bit at the back for the Van Buren side. It's just ball after ball keeps on coming in. That being said, though, Bryant nearly caught flat-footed as well. In fact, they will be, as Noble's able to read the defensive play there, gets the touch needed to put this away, and now it's 3-2 Van Buren again. We're right back where we were on the dawn of the 4th minute. As Noble now steps up for his team. All 3 players from the Van Buren side now. Been putting in a little bit more of a shift up front, but still, I feel like they're a little bit too edgy at the back. Definitely going to be wanting that second goal to maybe seal this one, as we see a lovely touch come out from Dewey. It's not enough, though. Alpha's there.
And it's really been the aggression from Van Buren that has allowed them to score a couple of these goals here. They've just gotten in the face of these Bryant defenders on the goal line. We've seen 2 goals now where, you know, perhaps the defender for Bryant in an awkward position, not really able to deal with it, and there's just a Van Buren player there. That one could have been a goal for Bryant as well.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of the previous game now, I feel like. It's 1 goal deficit. It's not really that secure of a lead if you're in the Van Buren shoes. Still very much Bryant's game to tie up, as Miles doesn't do enough to get it on target. However, he is going to come off the top. It's not to be enough, though. Perry unable to get it, and now Alpha's forced in as the backman also misses it. It's a little bit touch and go at the back for the Bryant side as well. Maybe those nerves starting to show.
It's a big play from Miles there to get that cleared out. Buys his team some time to reset.
This is tense stuff. 10 seconds remain now. You're Bryant. You need to be having the 3-man attack, as we see Miles able to get it up, but it might be a bit too much as Alpha gets a shot. It's not enough. Dewey on the line manages to get the save. And I think that's all she wrote for this 5th game. Is Van Buren now able to take the 3rd game of this series? They only need 1 remaining game now to seal this final. It's all to play for still, though. Bryant definitely down, but not out. They can chain together 2 wins in our remaining 2 games. Well, they'll be taking it as well.
Yes, so close there for Bryant. You saw even on the last play of the game there, you know, they had, you know, a chance to break over for them on the goal line, but it's one of the drawbacks of being aggressive, right? You saw the, I'm not sure who it was there who was trying to take that last shot, but just a little bit too far forward, right? So antsy to try and pick up that tie goal. You have to convert it in that spot, right? You don't really have a choice. But just a little bit too far forward. Miles makes that touch off the backboard. It's just a little bit behind. So close for Bryant, but Van Buren, they got in the face of the Bryant defenders when they needed to. They just recognized when Bryant were caught out in difficult spots, and they just capitalized. And it's enough. You know, all the goals count the same. Credit to them. They contested the right balls on the goal line.
Absolutely. It definitely felt like we were seeing a lot more pressure coming out from Blue, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. Even though they were stringing together all these chances, we had the Van Buren side sitting in their net a lot of the time and unable to really react. It's just Bryant weren't able to make the most of those opportunities, and all it took was Van Buren just getting forward a couple times and catching the Bryant defense off guard, as we see Miles almost able to put one in just off the kickoff. Alpha puts it across. Perry unable to get the touch that his team needed. But Dewey now, lovely bit of skill, and that's going to be 1-0. What a play this is. The man certainly knows how to score a fabulous-looking goal.
Yes, beautiful little cut and incision there from Dewey, just taking apart that last man. That's never a spot you want to be when you're the last defender back. You see 3 players from Van Buren all starting to break out, you know, trying to get a goal. That's not the best for Bryant. But it's just an illustration of, you know, how quickly this game turns around, right? Miles has a shot that's a little bit wide, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's immediately Van Buren going the other way and scoring it. You know, if that ball goes in for Bryant, they're ahead. Instead, they nearly concede a second. That was a great chance denied.
Yeah, lovely little bit of team play there between the 2 orange players. So we see Alpha able to put it across, but Noble's forced to make the save in the line. Miles bounces it up. Dewey once again there. Always the fastest to react, it feels like, as we see Miles now open net, but Noble's able to just about get there. Perry with the follow-up, and we're going to see 1-1 now. Just under a minute gone in this 6th game, and you can already feel like this could be a real storm of a game coming out from either side.
And that's the follow we've been looking for from this Bryant squad, right? When they initially get the shot, who is going to rotate in and follow up, deliver the strike? Perry's there on the front end of that Dominus, never going to miss that one. And yes, we really are in for it here. Everyone, fasten your seatbelts because this is going to get crazy.
And now as we see pressure coming out from this Bryant side, Duck's able to just about get it away from Perry being able to fashion a chance. Miles, again, up on the backboard, gets the touch, it's not enough though. So we see, oh, a little bit of a mistouch there, he didn't really know much about it, to be fair. Duck up for his team, not able to put it on target though. Miles will pick it up. And this is a little bit more reminiscent of Van Buren's early domination in the series. Feels like Bryant maybe struggling to release the pressure as we see a lovely shot there come out from Dewey. Almost stamp posted it, I should say.
Clinical shot there from Dewey, going all the way just under the crossbar into the top corner. From that angle is very, very nicely done. Yeah, it's clinical from Van Buren, right? When these chances break for them, they just don't miss. It's been the difference maker here so far.
Yep. Postage stamp was the word I was looking for, by the way, as we see Dewey up again. This is definitely a lot more assertive from the Van Buren side now, as Bryant looking to put some pressure together. However, Miles isn't up there with anyone else. There's no one to take the ball off him and just hone in on goal. But Perry, oh, that would have been a lovely touch if he managed to get it off.
You know, and the credit for Miles there is that, you know, on that initial attempt, even though he doesn't get a shot off, he's generating the pressure, right? So it might not come immediately, but he's doing the right thing. He's maintaining possession as Alpha just gets that 50-50 go right in the back of the net. There's the assertiveness. There's the pressure you want for Bryant, and back on level terms.
Yeah, Noble not able to do enough really to put it out of reach, and Alpha, he's just there. Noble flat-footed on the ground. Noble's able to put the ball over the top of him. Levels it up now for his team. It's all to play for here in Game 6.
This game is so tense already. Miles tried to turn that one right back in. That's a difficult angle.
Playing out from the back now, Van Buren. So once again, Miles there for his team. Just get bumped a little bit there. A little bit more of that might actually be the way to go here if you're Van Buren, looking to relieve some of this pressure building up. As that looks like it could be heading in almost. Not quite. Alpha manages to get the last touch there.
Very nice to position there from Alpha on that challenge in the midfield, recognizing the ball's probably going to go wide. He does, you know, earn the fault for his team. Nothing happening, but he's in the right spot in that midfield. It's not really something we've touched on a whole lot here, but that midfield presence, huge for Bryant when they have it.
Yeah, absolutely. He who controls the midfield controls the passages of play. As we see Miles almost from the midfield putting one on target.
And that's so unfortunate. That ball just breaks for both players. Neither wanting to give up that chance, but ball just kind of goes nowhere. Dewey coming in from downtown. It's a great angle for him.
Dewey and slapping the ball downwards into the net. Name a more iconic duo. Just once again for his team. Being able to take that high ball and put it on target, fashion a chance, and most of the time he's actually scoring off of them as well. Definitely the difference factor for Van Buren throughout the entire season, not just this series.
And now just under 60 seconds. Van Buren trying to hold on for the title. Bryant will have to give everything they got here to get that equalizer.
Absolutely. Snowball's not able to push it down. That probably would have been game, set, and match there for Van Buren if they were able to get this in. But Alpha almost was something. Miles gets the touch, but a little bit too high. I think Noble might have actually got a touch on that one as well.
I think Noble's very fortunate to get that touch there. That could have been extremely dangerous had Miles gotten that one just free. Here we go.
Off the post! Oh my! We see Perry in the midfield, but his team's not there to respond, and it looks like now Van Buren have been able to relieve that pressure. Yeah, and it's going to hit the ground. We're going to be seeing Van Buren as your Arkansas PlayVS champions here for Spring 2020.
Yes, congratulations to Van Buren High School. They came out and put on a great show for us. They are your Rocket League state champions for Arkansas, and I have to say, you know, huge performance from Van Buren. It was, you know, a bit shaky at times. You know, Bryant absolutely gave them everything they could handle, but you know, they come out on top here, Van Buren, and yeah, it was just on the back of some really great individual plays. I think, you know, they came up with the shots when it mattered the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Some clinical stuff coming out from the Van Buren side, just being able to be a cohesive unit early on in the series and just doing enough to really poke it home in the remainder there as well. Did look a little bit touch and go in the mid there, but they managed to get the effort across the line and really build together some brilliant chances. Dewey especially, like the amount of shots that we saw come out from that man, just absolutely incredible finishes, and not just finishes either. He was setting himself up with some incredible bits of play as well.
And really on both ends too for Dewey, making some great saves, especially in the first game. I thought, you know, Bryant had so many chances, particularly in that first game, but really throughout the series that, you know, we're looking at, you know, from the player perspective, and you're like, oh, it's going in, and then all of a sudden there's Dewey in the top corner just turning that one out. I thought he played out of his mind. Very complete performance from Van Buren. Again, shaky at times, but you know, it was never going to be perfect here, right? You know, you have two teams coming in, you know, undefeated, both in matches and in games. That it was never going to be easy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't actually foresee us having that close for series. I know it was 4-2, but it definitely felt like it could have gone 4-3 at some points there. Didn't expect us to see that close for series going in, but it definitely delivered. Both teams then not scared to go forward, not scared to put some shots on goal, and some impressive work at the back at times as well. It really made for an entertaining game. Like you said, not just with the goals, but with the saves as well.
Yes, it's one of the most underrated aspects of high-level play is not, you know, the flashy things, but it's, you know, rotating through on defense, getting up for great saves on the goal line, you know, reading the passes correctly when you see them coming. It's difficult to explain, but there's something beautiful about great defense. And I thought Van Buren overall, I think the reason they came through was just, you know, how clinical they were on offense, but then their defense as well. We touched on it in the games where, you know, they would have shots coming through on the backboard and you just get those big, powerful clearances that allow your team to reset. They're so valuable, and they're not the flashiest plays ever, but they're the most effective. Yeah,
absolutely. We're going to be trying to get Dewey on the line. We should have him momentarily as well, just to talk through that series and maybe talk a little bit about the season as well that him and his team have had. Really impressive stuff coming on. It was a really well-deserved victory there for Van Buren. Commiserations, though, to Bryant. Definitely nothing to be ashamed of there. They were our champions last year. They definitely made a brilliant case as to why they could have been this year as well.
And I believe we have Jordan here on the line. You guys might know him better as Dewey. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm super excited because if you guys saw, we played last season, we got second, so it's kind of unfortunate, but I'm glad this season we were able to prove ourselves as a team. So it's been exciting.
Brilliant stuff. And walk us through a little bit of the progression through the season as well. So you guys didn't drop anything in regular season, then you came through the quarters and the semis. Mm-hmm. Was it all plain sailing up to this point, or was there times where you thought, oof, it's going to be a little bit difficult?
Well, I know in our, I think our semifinals match, the very first game, very first 3 seconds they scored, and it was like, ooh, but it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, we got to get our head in the game, and we'll be fine. This series was one that was after that second game, we got a little bit nervous, but we were able to pull through and get the win.
Yeah, I was just going to talk a little bit about that, actually. we saw them level the series up after that fourth game. After the 0-second chance that you guys had as well, was it a little bit? What was the camp feeling like? Was it a little bit more nervy than usual?
It was like, it just went from us doing like really good to just like, wait, what's happening? We got to get our heads back in the game. It really caught us off guard. So there was that.
And Jordan, I want to ask you about your future endeavors here. From my understanding, you're a senior, and this would be your last season with PlayVS. But from what I've heard, you're not done playing esports just yet.
No, sir, I'm not. I actually got a full ride scholarship to Lyon College, so yeah, I'm hoping that there's a chance I can go pro. I hope I can play in CRL, and I'm really looking forward to this. This was just a good, I think, starter for like, I guess, my quote-unquote esports career.
Well, don't put any quotes about it. This is a great stage to get started, and you've been playing through with PlayVS here on a while. Can you just give us some insight overall what it's been like at your school? Being able to have your fellow students involved. What's the program like there at Van Buren High School?
Our program, it's amazing. I know at the start we got a bunch of new computers for it, and I think we might end up getting gaming chairs, which will be really nice. Our school has been super supportive of the program, which it's been nice. It's just knowing that like this is going to be an actual big thing, and like maybe in like all schools in the United States, and maybe even in other countries, which will be awesome.
Yes, certainly. Oh, go ahead, Declan.
Brilliant stuff, man. Well, finally, congratulations. That was some brilliant stuff coming out. You really made some individual plays there that made the difference. Is there any shout-outs you want to give before we let you go?
I want to give a shout-out to my mom, dad, JoJo, Too Fast, and Crosser. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us on the desk, Jordan. And once again, congratulations and good luck in the future. You're just getting started, believe me.
Yes, sir.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Jordan Dewey from Van Buren High School. So great to hear as well. Of course, not only succeeding here in PlayVS, but then able to take that experience and transition to a collegiate level is also great to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really crucial there, actually, what he was saying about this being the quote-unquote start. And I don't think this is a start either. I think this is an incredible competition to be winning. But it's really great that we have this platform from PlayVS where we have players and teams and institutions like schools able to come in and really gather experience for not just future generations now, but going forward, right? Being that change that we need to see in the education industry so that we can see more support coming out for players. He's talking there about gaming PCs and gaming chairs and the schools and stuff. I don't know about you, but back in the day, I would have loved for stuff like that.
Oh, that would have been absolutely phenomenal. I wish I had been able to get it on early, but I'm just glad I'm here for it now. I might not be able to play, but being able to work on this project with PlayVS and having and seeing these great young players come up on the big stage like this, it does a lot to validate the experience, right? And that's the biggest thing is just providing a great experience for the players, and really getting the recognition they deserve for the hard work they put in.
Yeah, absolutely.
But ladies and gentlemen, that'll just about do it for us here on the desk. I am Perino. That is my co-host, Declan. We'll be back later, but coming up next, we have the Arkansas League of Legends state final, so don't go anywhere. We'll be coming back with that in just a moment. Stay tuned, guys. And once again, congratulations to Van Buren High School.